Boom! Boom! Bang! Good evening, poetry lovers. Well, here we are. Me and you. Not just poetry lovers, but poets across Australia and the world. You know who I am. I'm Thundercloud. And I'm here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Everyone knows Mum calls me James. I'm going to have some Western Australian poetry for your ears today. So, what have I got in store for you? Well, Western Australian poetry, it's true. But first I'll start, as I always should, with an acknowledgement, because it's good and true and the right thing to do, to acknowledge the continuing connection to the land, the elders, past, present, emerging, and future too, of the Bambai and the Kamilaroi people, and acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. And yeah, well, today, very sad news for some people, and last a couple of other days ago, sad news for some people. And so, yeah, warning, cultural warning, I will be mentioning the name of people who've passed away. Yeah, sad news today, Jack Charles gone. Yeah, our Elder of the Year. And sad news for people of the royal family losing their Queen. Their Queen, yeah. Their relative. All right, and as with everyone, we do our heart and our love and compassion goes out to everyone, including the royal family, because they didn't choose to be born, and of course, offering them forgiveness so that we're not hanging on to any anger, because I love, they didn't choose to be who they were. Anyway, compassion for everybody, or if we can, whatever. And here we are at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. So, Western Australian poets, that's what I've got for you tonight. I have got some this one, which I've read out of a few times here, The Song Circle of Jackie, and selected poems of Colin Johnson, Muddaroo. Winds with Elf Taylor. Rimfire with Elf Taylor and Michael Smith. And Romaine Moreton. And this one that arrived here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame Library and Archive, I ordered it in for Ashley, and but I couldn't help myself, and I've already had a read and a look at it. Not all of it, because it's a big book and it's going to take me time to digest. And what's wonderful about it, this is the Fremantle Press Anthology of Western Australian Poetry. It's edited and it has an intro by John Kinsella and Tracey. It has this wonderful introduction. It has biographies of all the poets. They've just done this fantastic job of going right through from taking not only colonised, those settlers' poetry, but also First Nations poetry from Western Australia, and First Nations songs that have been recorded and then written and then translated into the English. So within this book, there are not only English songs, but there are First Nations songs from across Western Australia. So yeah, a fantastic resource. So if you're interested in learning a bit about the Western Australian poets, I highly recommend this book, even though I haven't even finished reading it yet. Okay, but tonight I'm going to be sharing some of this for you. Now, what else is going on in the world of poetry? Well, one interesting thing that is going on is the Perth Poetry Festival, yes. And that's going from the 30th of September to the 8th of October over there in Western Australia. Now, there is a Zoom link on the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame website, on our Facebook page, so you can go there, as well as what else is happening. Well, Paddy O'Brien is coming down here for the Poets Breakfast on the 9th of October, so you can get your tickets. It's only $10, $5 for children, I think, or it's free, I'm not too sure, but we believe in paying our guest poets a proper and fair wage, and in order to pay Paddy O'Brien for his guest appearance here, that's why we've got to charge a door fee. Of course, the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame here does have to keep existing, and one of the great things about the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame is that up here in the mountains of Gyra, in the highlands of Northern Highlands of Northern Central Highlands of New South Wales, it's dry, and we've got and the air's dry, so we've got a poetry library and archive here where we're collecting Australian poetry of all genres, not just the bush poetry, but everyone, to bridge that city-country divide that exists, because we're all poets, everyone from rhyming doggerel stuff to haiku. So it's all valid, it's all, if it's written here in Australia, and it's Australian poetry, and that's what the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame is all about: preserving, nurturing, celebrating all Australian poetry, poets, no matter where you're from, no matter your gender, no matter what you say, if it's good or bad. Well, who's to be the judge? Not me. I'm just the observer, the learner, because why? Well, we can get so much from poetry. Goodness gracious me, have I learnt so much just reading poetry in this place in the last 2.5 years. Right, let's move right along. I'm going to start with this book here first, Rimfire. And I wanted to read some of Michael J. Smith's poetry out of this. Michael J. Smith, Calling Thought. Now, this book, Rimfire, was published by Magabala Books over there in Broome or something like that. Where is it? I'll let you know. Hang on a minute. Magabala Books, Aboriginal Corporation, Broome, Western Australia. Yeah, okay. So this has got Romaine, Moreton, Alf Taylor and Michael J. Smith in it. Now, Michael J. Smith was born in 2000 and he's been around the sun 36 times. This was when the book was written. Lived, so, I don't know. Oh, in the year 2000 he'd been around the sun 36 times, so he's 36 plus 22, that makes him 54 now. So younger than me, there you go. Born in Perth on the Northern Reserve, lived on the Northern Reserve for 3 years with his family. Alright, so there we go. I don't even know where he's doesn't even say what mob he's from, but anyway, it was all good. There you go, hang on, there you go. So he's now living in Armidale studying the Bachelor of Counselling program at the University of New England. So there you go. He's a well-travelled young fella, old fella, he's older than me, as I said. So this was published in 2000, this book. Alright, yeah, so it's 22 years old. Anyway, I'd love to moving right along. 145, Butterfly Dance. Michael J. Smith. Butterflies come to the water from mountains, valleys, hills and plain. Why is it that they come to kiss the salt of the ocean? Dancing above the waves, I see them. There. The butterfly's gone in the motion of the ocean. Or maybe in the belly of a fish. Your colours belong to you. I shall not speak of their beauty. Butterfly, butterfly, dance the dance to die. Come kiss the salt of the ocean. Movement. Move into light when darkness is behind you, for you will enter into the realm of knowingness. Until you have this realization, your thoughts are not purely yours, but are of many others that are a part of your earthly presence. Justify. Where? I've really only ever known you once, a long time ago, though can't remember you clearly. I was looking through naive lies, forgetting you. Don't know where you are. Haven't found you since then. Where does one look for something as precious as you? Searched and searched. My time and time for you. Haven't found you after all these years. Got to be careful that I don't stop looking for you though. Love. Because wouldn't that be lonely? Lovely. I like that. All right. Now, I'm not going to read Elf Taylor out of there. I'm going to actually read the Elf Taylor out of this book, Winds, also published by Magabala Books in the year 1994. I've got some here already marked that I've read out, so I'm going to go past them. Although this is the book that is supposed to be read in sequence from beginning to end, but since I've already read some of it, I'll just read some bits. Dead of Night. Silence. Let's start again. This is how Elf Taylor wins. Dead of night. Sirens wailing in dead of night. Is it wrong or is it right? A young life being pursued, or is it the innocent victim in dead of night? No, it's not right. Another victim lay dead in dead of night. Rain on my roof. The rain on my roof is bringing musical thoughts to my head. Sometimes I feel so lonely. Sometimes I wish I was king. Lying alone in this bed, rain on my roof, my only companions dance and sing above. But the rain on my roof sings a different tune now. It tells me that you are bringing your love to me. On my own, sitting alone out in the bush. On my own, don't know what time or even the day Rain all around, silver drops from above to the red, dry soil that I love. Silent island, sing to me. Let me drift with you to a silent island. I want to be with you. No more disturbances keeping us apart. We'll settle on that island, just you and me, together forever. No one can keep us apart. Let me hear the songs of the past, so sing to me. Let me drift with you to a silent island. I want to be with you. Beautiful surroundings. Beautiful surroundings dominate now. Tourists come in droves. The tinkle of dollar coins, so demanding in those long time days of those beautiful surroundings. He still remembers the mission. In his mind, religious, shadowy figures robed in black, so demanding in those long time days of those beautiful surroundings. His 7-year-old mind screams, I want to go back to my mother, somewhere in the bush by a lonely old track. But now his head is still pounding with sorrowful memories of those beautiful surroundings. Powerful poetry, Alf Taylor. A little about Alf. Alf is a part of the multifaceted tradition of Western Australian Aboriginal culture. Jack Davis, Jimmy Chi, Margaroo, Sally Morgan, Paddy Rowe, Daisy Tamora are some of those that we know individually, of each of those illustrating different aspects of Aboriginal being in contemporary Australia. Alright, let's move on to the book we've all been waiting for. I've been waiting for it, Ashley's been waiting for it, and here you are. It is Freemantle Press, Anthology of Western Australian Poetry. Yes. And now I'm only going to be reading out at the beginning of this because it's such a huge book. And yeah, and I can't read too much out of it because I can't infringe copyright. So I'll only be doing one, not that I'm making any money out of like reading this on YouTube here. But if you did want to donate to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, you can send poetry books here to 144 Bradley Street, Guyra, because we're collecting them for the Australian Poetry Library and Archive. And we've got one more. And a whole lot more. Or you can also go looking up GoFundMe in the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame and donate there as well if you want. Or otherwise you can just write out a cheque and send it for $1 million. Whatever. it's all helpful because I really want to develop this place massively and have big poets gallery everywhere. And I want to have the best poetry events, and I want to have poetry, what do you call those things? Poetry fellowships where people come and they stay and they do poetry workshops here as well, and learn poetry and celebrate poetry and poetry competitions and a poetry video competition. Anyway, this is all in the tube. Poetry workshops for schools, that's for definitely next year. Okay, this book, the dedication of this book is for the poets. Yeah. All right. So edited with an introduction by John Kinsella. Well, John Kinsella, what a legend, hey? If you don't know about John Kinsella, he also wrote the Penguin Anthology of Australian Poetry, as well as about 20 poetry books himself. He's a prolific poet, long-time poet, been writing poetry all his life, I think since he was old enough to write. Well, Tracey Ryan, I really don't know anything about her. So there you go, being honest. All right. Just some of the poets that are in here. Well, you need to buy the book and find out. I'm just going to read to you. So, as well as the the poems that are in here, there's biographies. I think I mentioned that before as well. All right, so we're going to start with George Fletcher Moore. Start at the beginning where we thought, and I'll just move on from there. George Fletcher Moore was born in 1798 and died in 1886. So page 49, we'll start with. The first of the first poems in here. George Fletcher Moore, Western Australia for me, Ballinamornana Oro. Don't know what that means. It's a bit of a ballad, really. It looks like it's written in a song time. From the old Western world we have come to explore the wilds of this Western Australia shore in search of the country we ventured to roam, and now that we've found it, let's make it our home. And what through the colony new, sirs, and inhabitants yet may be few, sirs, and we see them increasing here too, sirs, so Western Australia for me. With care and experience I'm sure 'twill be found, 2 crops in the year we may get from the ground. There's good wood and good water, good flesh and good fish, good soil and good climb, and what more could you wish? Let everyone earnestly strive, sirs, to do his best, be alert and alive, sirs. We'll soon see our colony thrive, sirs, so Western Australia for me. No lions or tigers we here dread to meet, our innocent quadrupeds hop on 2 feet. No tithes and no taxes we now have to pay, and our geese are all swans, as some witty folks say. Then we live without troubles, all stealth, sirs, our currency's all sterling wealth, sirs, and so here's to our governor's health, sirs, and Western Australia for me. There you go. Just starting with a song. Alright, well, then there's one, Mount Eliza by A, bracket ND, so we don't know who that is, so I'm going to miss that one. Here's one called Anonymous, no date, a new song, adapted from Sam Sly's African Journal, tune The Campbells Are Coming. Well, I don't know that tune, sorry. The convicts are coming, oh-ho, oh-ho. What a curse to the swan, what a terrible blow. No devil a bit, don't fear my old bricks. How much may we learn if they teach us their tricks. The convicts are coming, oh dear, don't button your pockets, there's nothing to fear, for surely no exile would venture to thieve when away from the prison on ticket of leave. The convicts are coming, hurrah, hurrah, how it gladdens the heart of each anxious papa, for how quickly his children may now learn a trade from that best of preceptors, a thief ready-made. The convicts are coming, huzzah, huzzah. If we want to pick locks, they will tell us the way. Do we think to cut throats or to blow out men's brains? They'll show us the mode if we'll only take pains. The convicts are coming, what capital sport. The road to the gallows made easy and short, and long will us Swanites remember the day when the convicts were sent to their shores by Earl Grey. The convicts are coming, the Orient's in sight. Then throw up your hats, boys, illuminate tonight. Yes, throw up your hats, be merry as grips, for I'll warrant they'll soon put us up to their rigs. The convicts are coming, huzzah, huzzah. 3 cheers for the convicts and 3 for Earl Grey. 3 cheers for the Swanites and 9 for each man who devised and perfected his glorious plan. So that was first published on the 16th of November 1849. Well, the next one's by Delta, so I'm just going to skip that. Here we go. Elizabeth Deborah Brockman. I read this one yesterday and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Elizabeth Deborah Brockman was born in 1833 and died in 1915. This is called On Receiving from England a Bunch of Dried Wildflowers. Pale ghosts, fragrant things that grew among the woods and valleys of my native land. Phantoms of flowers I played with long ago. Here are the scented violets I sought, in their cool nooks of verdure and the bells that fringe the mountain crag with the loveliest blue. Here are the flashing clusters of the May, the dainty primrose on its slender stem, and the forget-me-not, all faint and pale, as those distant, dim memories of home that haunt the exile's wistful heart in banishment. I look around and see 1,000 greyer tints in the wilderness is bright with gorgeous rainbow colouring of flowers that have no dear familiar names. I see them closing ere the dews of night have touched their waxen leaflets. Close they fold their tender blossoms through the darkened hours, and will not open through the fractious winds should wrestle with their roots and strain their stems. They waken not until the softer airs breathe from the rosy lips of the early morn come whispering, lo, the lordly sun is nigh. But in my hand, those frail memorials lie closely pressed with a slight electric link, by which thought overpasses time and space to other hands that pluck them, other hands that never more to touch of mine shall thrill responsive. Blessed be those hands with prosperous labours, fruitful through long years of all life's truest, tenderest charities. Oh, it is a very long one. So I won't do that because we've only got limited time. So the John Boyle O'Reilly, the Dukite Snake, a Western Australian bushman story. I'll have to read that later. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is by someone called Humanitas, not dated, to the editor of the Inquirer and Commercial News. My dear Mr. Editor, a short time ago I was sauntering along one of the streets of Bustleton. On a gloomy evening, I happened to meet an aged chief of the name of Bungert, who complained bitterly to me that the government had not forwarded the usual supply of blankets this season for distribution amongst his people, and requested that I write to His Excellency on the subject. The enclosed is a translation of what he desired me to say, and if you think it worthy of a corner in your valuable journal, you are welcome to it. Yours truly, Humanitas. To His Excellency the Governor. To you, our generous ruler, I come with this appeal. On behalf of those, my people, whose wants I keenly feel, I approach you with submission. Turn not your face away, but listen to a careworn chief whose locks are turning grey. Our ranks are quickly thinning, it grieves me to look around. I will see that in a few short years our place will not be found. Where are those countless numbers that were once blithe and gay? Where our wives and children are? Tell me, where are they? The white man came amongst us, he proved a faithless seer. He introduced tobacco, he plied our sons with beer. He drove away the kangaroo, our hunting grounds laid waste. And sadly now we miss that food so suited to our taste. The winter has come round again, the nights are chill and cold. It's not for the strong I ask, 'tis for the weak and old. We cannot find bookers for our little ones to swathe. I therefore ask for clothing, 'tis blankets that I crave. Oh, grant me this petition, turn not away from me, and I, your faithful servant, will pray. Bungert, Chief of the Vasey tribe, published 30th of July, 1873. I don't think I need to say anything about that. Alfred Chandler, Spinifex he was known as, born 1852, died 1941. The poet. He burnt the spice of paradise within a golden bowl, and from the swinging censer broke the sumptuous smoke that softly stole. In blue perfumes among the altars dim and steeped his soul in incense of the seraphim. For it was one from poppy blooms that grew in the valleys of the sun. What time he heard a mellow bird, awake with radiant ecstasy, the morning stars in heaven's sky, and from the night drew dividends of rare delight, until it seemed his very soul was floating from the golden bowl. Interesting. A story of opium addiction called The Poet. What else have we got here for you tonight? Here we go. John Philip Burke, also known as Blue Bush, born in 1860, 1941 died. This is called When I'm Dead. When I'm dead, bring me no roses white, nor lilies spotless and immaculate, but from the garden roses red, roses full blown and by the noon sun kissed. Bring me the roses that my life has missed when I'm dead. The rhymes that our heart can read, and this is by Edwin Greenslade Murphy, who wrote under the name Dry Blower, born 1866 to 1939. The rhymes that our heart can read. We are sated of songs that hymn, that praise of a world beyond our ken. We are bored by the ballads of beaten ways and milk and water men. We're tired of the tales that love has told to the cooing and amorous dove. We've banished the minstrelsy of old and the lyric of languid love. While we stand where the ways of men have end, the untrod tracks commence. We weary of songs that poets penned in pastoral indolence. The sleepy sonnet that lovers make where weeping willows arch, cannot the passionate soul awake of men who outward march. Our harps are hung in the towering trees and the mulga low and grey. Our ballads are sung by every breeze that flogs to the sea to spray. We want no lay of the moonlit strand, no idyll of daisied mead. For the rhymes that our hearts can understand are the rhymes that our hearts can read. Come on, let's find... Here we go. Lillian Worcester Greaves, born 1869, died in 1956, the farmer's daughter. The farmer's daughter. Guess I'll stick to washing dishes, sweeping, cooking, darning socks, having literary wishes gives a girl too many shocks. I think thoughts just like those bookmen, dream sweet dreams from morn to night. I see folks like their spookmen in the evening's ghostly light. I'd have loved a life of learning, but whene'er I go about with the fire of genius burning, then the kitchen fire goes out. Look here, sis, we're two great ninnies, thus my brother yesterday, working hard when golden guineas here are fairly flung away. Prize for lyric, prize for sonnet, prize for humorous verses too. Seize a paper scribble on it, suit for me and dress for you. Come, let's try, I say, Mary, what's a lyric anyhow? So I got the dictionary and forgot to milk the cow. Sonnets must be made to order, 14 lines and put just so, like in your embroidery border or a picture frame in her. Where's the royal road to rhyming? Lyrics must be musical, ebbing, flowing, singing, chiming with a gentle rise and fall. So we scribbled till the dark it closed around and day was gone. Mother home again from market, dinner wasn't even on. Father swore a score of sonnets, several miles of lyric too. Guess I'll earn my frocks and bonnets just as other daughters do. That's funny. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Got it. All right. So, this is Minkala Jerry, who died in the late 1920s. The Marble Bar pool spirit is releasing a flood. The Marble Bar pool is releasing the wind for us. The water snake is poised to let the water go, and all the gullies are overflowing, backing up bank to bank because of me, a stranger. He doesn't want to recognise me. And in language, Werlan Yalu Nanga Nyangi Jarangya Jerta Murumari. Werlan Yalu Nyang Jarangya Jerta Murumari. Jayan Nang Naranka Wirtikanyin Yinta Nuraru. Karka, Nalpurlarnu, Naning Kajara, Pampanura, Nanunga, Kura, Pirnanyuru. This one, Mirini Mara Jinkiri is the poet, died in the 1930s. Kulinda in harbour. The Kulinda was a steamer plying the Western Australia coast. Look after Kulinda there, you fellows, huge plucky thing. All its masts and derricks sticking up on account of the cyclone. It's a plucky thing, just sheltering there for a while. He'll head straight out into the wind. The launch will lead the ship out as it heads towards the big sea breeze. Huge Corinda. The skipper will take care of it out in the deep water. So the Corinda was a paddle steamer. Right. And in language, curling Tanya, Kanyin Pia, Yolo Munkara Wirda Punkurili. Wangir Mirmani Yangura La, Yolo Minka. Kayinyo Jerta Junto Jinaman Para we Marnan Yorula Lula Lan Jilu Lan Jilu Kurpiri Kartilu Wang Nakuru Kurlinta Kanyin Kipanku Warumataringura. Okay. This is Peter Hopegood, born in 1891, died in 1867, on 90 Mile Beach. between Broome and Port Hedland. I saw 3 crosses in the dunes of driftwood, rough and brown. One leaned east and one leaned west, and one had tumbled down. One had a name cut with knife, the other 2 were bare. Unless that name were written false, no lies at all were there. No virtues posthumously hewed, though hitherto ignored, stark humble as the holy rood was each unlettered board. No promises to meet again, nor hints of future bliss, yet as I see them plumb I thought, there's not much now amiss. This is Wimia King, born 1893, died 1979. Chenganara, the plain. Kandalindali Warari Nurainimumana Warandala Taru Punga Tiwaruri Taninara Jindi Manara Jirigirdimba Tinkarim no Rangala Walana. This is right around the windmark. On the east side lands the plain, dust blowing. Chenganara comes down in the wind with the engine clanging and the wheels standing on the ground still trembling. Okay, well this is a song called Gold Fever by Captain Dale Garagiman or Yinbal, born in 1908, died in 1993. Gold Fever. Mara Yuno Nyinda, Mara Yuno Tholo Gunjimuna. Mara Yuno Nyinda, Mara Yuno Tholo Gunjimuna. Mara Yuno Nyinda, Mara Yuno Thola 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 Gunjimuna. Thulu Wanda Nawuna. Thulu Wanda Wandurala. Thulu Wanda Una. Thulu Wanda Wandurala. Thulu Wanda Nauna. Thulu Wanda Wandurala. Mariano Nyinda Biringula Warinya. Mariano Nyinda Biringula Warinya. Nina. Warnina. Mariano Nyinda Biringula Warnina. Mariano Nyinda Mariano Thorogunjamuna Banganagari Wirdurana. Mariano Nyinda Mariano Thula Gunjamuna Banganana Gari Wirdurana. Mariano Nyinda, Mariano Thula Gunjamuna. Mariano Nyinda, Mariano Thula Gunjamuna. And in English, you poor man. Poor man on your own, like a single tree bent over, fossicking through the scrub, trees everywhere, fossicking all by himself. Poor man, alone, you poor man, not knowing which way to go, standing one place Well, how about that? So I've read heaps of stuff out of that book tonight. I'm not going to read it anymore because I don't want to break copyright. But we're going through the Western Australian poets, and aren't there some wonderful Western Australian poets? Look, I haven't even got like quarter of a way through this book here yet, and I've just been skipping through, just pulling out random poems. So look, highly recommended. The Fremantle Press Anthology of Western Australian Poetry. Well, I wouldn't highly recommend it, except that if I hadn't read it all, because I haven't read it all. But it is edited by John Kinsella and Tracey, and I know John Kinsella is an awesome authority on Australian poetry. So there. Alright, so yeah, the Fremantle Press Anthology of Western Australian Poetry. Get a copy online. That's what it looks like. Okay, now, what else is coming up? Well, we have Wednesday Words here every Wednesday night at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. So from 6:30, anyone's welcome to come. As the weather warms up, we'll be moving out of the cafe, out of the dining room, here into the main auditorium. And anyone's willing to come. You don't have to be a poet to listen. You don't have to come. And if you are a poet, you can just come and do your poetry, or someone else's. You don't have to do your own. I'm not doing my own tonight. Well, yes, I'll go in a minute for it if you'd like. Okay, yeah, sure. All right, you have no say really. 9th of October, so that's a Sunday. We've got the Poets Breakfast here. It's 9 o'clock doors, 10 o'clock start for 10 to 12. There's walk-ups. Paddy O'Brien will be here all the way down from Moreton, the great bush poet, and old Paddy at the Tweed. He also worked here in Guyra, came spud picking for 5 seasons in the 1960s. So great to welcome Paddy O'Brien back to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Hey, good luck for the, what are we? We're only at the 13th of September, yeah. Hey, one thing about that Perth Poetry Festival over there, look, they are running a fundraiser because they believe in paying poets their fair wage. They're running a fundraiser on the Australian Cultural Fund. I think I might have put the links on the Facebook page. But otherwise, you can look up the Perth Poetry Festival and donate some money, especially if you're going to be watching them on the Zoom live poetry. Because those poets all deserve to be paid some money. Right. Anything else that's happening coming up in poetry news? Look, if you've got poetry news out there that you want me to share around on this Australian Poetry Hall of Fame website, send it to me. You can either message me in Facebook Messenger, or you can email it to numeral1 English numeral 1 at gmail.com. So 1English1 at gmail.com. It's not rocket science. The ones are both numerals. So and if you've got poetry books that you've don't know what to do with, and you've read them all and you'd love to donate them to the Australian Poetry Library and Archive, you can just donate them over here by sending them to 144 Bradley Street, Guyra, at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame here, and we will preserve them for perpetuity for all Australians to enjoy. Now, I'm going to read you a little bit more poetry, but while I'm killing time here, please, while you're just doing it now and listening, can you just give this a thumbs up there on YouTube and also there on Facebook as well, or give it a love heart, and in the comments, can you write a comment of some description, because what it does, it means it increases the audience engagement for the YouTube and the Facebook algorithms, and then they share it so more people can see it. And so if you can share this on your Facebook page, or in your poetry group, if you're a poet and you belong to poetry groups, great, thank you very much, and bless. Hey, alright, let's move right along into a bit more poetry. Okay, alright, come on, just give it a thumbs up, another thumbs up, go on, give it another one, yeah, that's another one, and a love heart too, go on, yeah, alright, here I go. Now, okay, so, I did mention earlier on in the night that we've lost a couple of really important people. Well, I mean, everyone's important. No one's less important or more important than everyone else. But, however, these particular people had a very large sphere of influence in the world. One of those was Queen Elizabeth. And she's just gone. Now, with all due respect, I am an anti-monarchist because I do have anarchist leanings, although I do see the benefits of governance systems, government, by people. I can see how they become corrupted. And I don't believe in the divine right of kings either. And anyway, but that's my personal opinion, and you're welcome to disagree, because that's what we have, a robust democracy where we respect that there are 7.6 billion people and 7.97 billion people in this whole world, and every single one of them has a different opinion to you and me. So, aren't we lucky? Right, so what have we got here? Something I wrote 5 days ago. In the bigness of big and the littleness of little, as above, so below. I'm just here in the middle. Everything's changing, there's gender and flow, and on everyone who steps outside, the winds blow. Be here, now. Focused, flowing and stoic, with love in your heart, you can be heroic. There are times when leaves on trees let go to tumble to a new home and the winds blow. You may trip, stumble, get up and gracefully run. You can worry or not, hate, love or have fun. You can huddle by a fire or roll in the snow, yelling at the wind won't stop the wind blow. In the bigness of big, there are 10 billion years. In the infinite now is the wisdom of seers, holographic illusion, mind puts on a show. Do you resist or flex and flow when the winds blow? It's amazing. First time I've reread that since I wrote it 5 days ago, and it's actually quite interesting. You may trip, stumble, get up and gracefully run. You can worry or not, hate, love or have fun. You can huddle by a fire or roll in the snow, but yelling at the wind won't stop the wind blow. In the bigness of big. Oh, here we go. There's imagination. Someone had to write it, but I haven't. Imagine a world with no princes, queens, or crowning of kings. No princesses, no prime ministers, presidents, thrones with gold rings. A world with peace, no borders, no armies, no guns, and no war. And the whole planet thrived as abundantly peaceful forevermore. Imagine that. If we all lived as one on the earth going around the sun, life could be such fun. War wouldn't be missed. Without claw, tooth, fighting fist, we'd all be bliss. Respecting difference, living on a thin crust per chance, sharing abundance. All would be uniting, no longer any selfish fighting, wouldn't be frightening. Acceptance and love, unconditional, inspired from above, arrives a love, peace, dove. One united in unity, a happy, safe, sharing community, seize the day, an opportunity. Everything is wonderful and also great. Life, death, love, laughter, anger and hate. So much that I wouldn't want anything to change, knowing what I won't want and what I don't want to be is not strange. I'll repeat that. Everything is wonderful and also great. Life, death, laughter, love, anger and hate. So much that I wouldn't want anything to change, knowing what I want and don't want to be is not strange. Toxic thoughts. Toxic thoughts, insane. Emotional roller coaster brain. Let go of what's left, or be left bereft. The past is gone, even if you don't move on, affected or unaffected, reactive or self-corrected. Forgiveness without bitterness, resentment, is ointment for disappointment. Cold winds blow, leaves tumble, waters flow. Change happens, you know. Give up or have a go. Plough, then sow. Water, watch grow. Eliminate a pest, then harvest. Meditate and rest. Become your best. Play sports. Quieten your thoughts. Visit new ports. Depth of thinking random thoughts. You are the primary character in the story of your life. Only 4% of what you remember is actually factual. Everyone else around you is a secondary character in your story. And you make up nearly everything about the secondary characters in your story. Assumptions are the basis of most people's stories. Judgment and assumptions are the cause of most misunderstandings. Judgment's the basis of all bigotry, racism, xenophobia, and any other ism. Judgment is based on the assumptions of the ego. I like that thought. Here we go. And this is would explain why I'm an anti-monarchist. It doesn't explain it at all. Maybe. Anyway, the divine right of kings is just a made-up idea, you know. From eons past, with little relevance here. Far King Charles, with golden sepulchre and crown, living on stolen wealth from the whole world round. If the new normal is true, then is it time for me and you to remodel democracy for the benefit of all and not the few? To give the people direct say, not representative democracy which results in corruptions, lies, untruth and hypocrisy? For an accountable committee, if you need some heads of state. But Far King Charles has no relevance here today, mate. In 2022. Haiku. Now, if you're on Facebook or wherever, join the Australian Haiku Society if you like writing haiku. There is a questionnaire at the beginning, so get started by submitting a request to participate. Everyone in this public group is reviewed by admins before they can post a comment. Read and agree to the group rules to submit your request. Why would you like to join Australian Haiku Society? I am a poet and also write some haiku. This is a haiku. Do you agree to follow the group rules? Agreement confirmed. I will follow the group rules as best I can. As best that I can. Disobey. If I were a cookbook and you had a look, I'd have a recipe for success, for appreciation, how to be your best, how to listen to your inner voice, and how to make the best choice. How to be happy in your life, but not how to stay happily married to your wife. If I were a cookbook. And finally, one more. God has all genders and none. In the quantum infinite connected field, we are one. Yes, we are one. We are one on this living planet, all heart beating and stuff, like the cells in our body. We are the cells on the planet. Yes, that's what we are. All right. Well, thank you for joining me here tonight. Chillin'Tuesday from Seahorse Medicine Cafe at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I've got a lovely barley and beans soup for you this week if you are coming down, and whatever else I've got. I got pumpkin soup, some fresh rye bread, and some lovely smoothies, fruit smoothies, and some vegan food for those of you who are vegan, and vegetarian food for vegetarians if you want some proteins, some animal proteins of some description that's not meat. And anyway, and so thank you for joining me here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame for Chillin'Tuesday. Don't forget tomorrow night from 6:45ish when we start broadcasting Wednesday words. You can catch up on Chillin'Tuesdays and Wednesday's words on the YouTube channel of Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. And don't forget to check out our website and our range of wonderful merchandise and products, all of which go to support the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame and the nurturing of poets and the celebration of Australian poetry and the preservation of a wonderful poetry library here and events and all of that kind of stuff, because poetry rocks. And I'm Thundercloud, and I love poetry. I eat it, I breathe it, and it even comes out my mouth. I'll see you later. I'm washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Yes, you know, I'm not called Mary. It's James. But Thundercloud will do. See you later.